In this problem, we want to find the zeros of the polynomial function. So we got, I'll set the function equal to 0. So I got x to the fourth plus 2x to the third plus 17x squared plus 32x plus 16 equal to 0. Again, whenever it's asking you to find zeros, you set equal to 0 and solve it. Fundamental theorem of algebra says your largest power tells you how many answers you're going to have. So we're going to have 4 answers. Should have 4 numbers circled when we're done. We're going to put our polynomial on y1, 0 on y2. So I'm in something else there. Okay. So I go to y equals, clear. And I got x to the 4th, so I do x caret 4. Press your right arrow key if you're on a new or T84. It doesn't hurt on any of them. Plus 2x to the 3rd. And then press your right arrow key again if you're on a newer T84. They got exponent mode. Plus 17 x squared. Try it again. X squared. Plus 32x. Plus 16. And down there to y2, and if you don't have it there already, press clear and then put a 0. Have to have a 0 on y2 for this process to work. Now we're going to do second trace, choose intersect. Now it looks like it comes down, touches at -1 and goes back up. Let me put in a guess of -2 to show you what will happen. I'll do inner on first curve, inner on second curve, and I'll put in -2 for the guess. Normally it finds out whichever one's closest to it. But when it comes down and touches at a point, it does weird things. And see how we came up with -0.9999994? To actually get the answer, you have to input the answer for the guess, as weird as that seems. So if we went back and did second trace and choose intersect, if I do inner on first curve, inner on second curve, and put in -1 for the guess, it comes back and tells us -1. Okay, well let's take what we found and plug it in synthetic division. Our largest power is x to the 4th, so we're going to have an x to the 4th, an x to the 3rd, an x squared, an x, and a no x. And we'll write down numbers in front of each one. There's a 1 in front of the x to the 4th, 2 in front of the x to the 3rd, 17 in front of the x squared, 32 in front of the x, and 16 is our no x, or constant term. Now we're going to go through a series of adding, multiplying over and over until we're done. 1 plus nothing's 1. You always multiply by a number in the box, by a number you just put down there. -1 times 1 is -1. Add. 2 minus 1 is 1. Multiply. You multiply by the number in the box, by a number you put down there. -1 times 1 is -1. Add. 17 minus 1 is 16. Multiply. -1 times 16 is -16. Add. 32 minus 16 is 16. Multiply. -1 times 16 is -16. Add. 16 minus 16 gives us 0. Since we got a 0 as a remainder, that means we found our first answer. Our first answer is -1. Now, that took it from x to the 4th. We're now down to x to the 3rd. Since that's the only answer we got from the calculator, we're going to try -1 again. It probably repeats. Matter of fact, I know it repeats because it comes down and touches a point and goes back up. That's what happens when it touches at a point. It repeats. So we'll try -1 again. So I'm going to add, multiply by what you always multiply by a number in the box, by a number you put down there. -1 times 1 is -1. Add, 1 minus 1 is 0. Multiply, -1 times 0 is 0. Add, 16 plus 0 is 16. Multiply, -1 times 16 is -16, and add 16 minus 16 gives us 0, which means that x equals -1 is our second answer. And that takes it from x to the 3rd, and we're now down to x squared. And that'll be x, and this will be no x. So we got x squared plus 16 equal to 0. We always set it equal to 0 because we're finding zeros, and that's what you do. Now, since our middle term is missing, the x, then this is perfect for square root property. I'll take 16 to the right side, so we get x squared is equal to -16. Square root property says if you got something squared equal to the other side, you drop your squared, and you put a plus or minus square root around the other side. Well, negative 16. That's negative 1 times 4 times 4. Now remember, a negative 1 inside of your square root gives you an I, and a pair of 4 is going to come out in front as a single 4. So we're going to have x is equal to plus or minus 4i. And those are our 4 answers. We only have 3 circled, but remember this is plus or minus, so that's 2 answers right there. So that counts for all 4 of our answers.